Hello there, my friend. I hope that you're having a wonderful day. I'm super excited, but also nervous to be filming this video today and getting ready to share this with y'all because obviously we've been hanging out here on YouTube for a while, doing yoga practices together, and I love that space, but I've really been thinking about how important it is for me to find ways to connect with you guys more deeply. And so I really wanted to create this video where I could just share a little bit more about my story, kind of what has led me to where I'm at right now, the things that are taking place within Unshaken Yoga and Stand Unshaken, but ultimately just really wanted to use this as an opportunity to connect with you guys more and hopefully get to hear some of your story as well. And so I've been wanting to film this video for a while, but just wasn't really sure where to start or how to do it. And so this morning I was reading a book by Donald Miller that's called A Million Miles in 1,000 Years. And it's an excellent book. I have listened to the audio version before and then I'm going through and reading it again. But the book really just talks about what makes a good story, what is the purpose of story, and what really has been standing out to me about that is that story is what connects us. My story and your story probably have a lot of overlap, and finding those common threads in our stories is what really allows us to develop meaningful relationships and to find that kind of connection that I think so many of us are craving. And so I knew that it was time to sit down and film this, and I was just trying to think through like where to start. What is the most important thing to share, and what do I really hope that you guys would get out of this video? And as I was thinking through all of that, the first thing that really came to mind for me was a day when I was a junior in high school and I was at the grocery store with my little brother. We were walking around just having fun. We were leaving to go to Spain the next day with my family for a family vacation. And we went to the thing at the grocery store where you can like take your blood pressure and you weigh yourself and all of that. And I remember when we sat down, I weighed myself and just had this thought come into my mind of, that number is too high. And with the perspective that I have now, I can look back and just understand that what was that even rooted in? Why did I decide that that number was too high or that it mattered? But for whatever reason, that was what I felt. And so what that really started in my life was about 5 years of having really unhealthy relationship with food and exercise and my body, and just a lot of insecurity that came from that specifically, but really carried over into every other area of my life. And I promise that's important because that's the reason that I'm here. That insecurity and that struggle and those years of just not trusting that God had a plan for my life or not feeling sure what that was, and knowing that the way that I felt about myself was never going to allow me to do the big, amazing things that I really wanted to do, the things that I dreamed I was created for. And so through those 5 years of just really restricting myself in so many ways of life, I think a lot of times when people talk about struggling with an eating disorder, we talk about the way that we restrict food or the way that we are overly disciplined with exercise, but really what my eating disorder and my insecurity was doing in my own life was it was restricting me from living this big life. I have a friend who says that when we're unhealthy or we're insecure, it keeps us small because we have to be so focused on our internal world that it doesn't give us the energy or the opportunity to focus on the world outside of us, which, if we're looking from a biblical perspective or really from any perspective, we are meant to live for so much more than just ourselves. Our lives are meant to serve others, to make the world a better place and to make an impact. And I just knew that what was happening in my life and the way that I was viewing myself in the world was keeping me from being able to do those things. And so that thought and just believing that God had something more for me was really what caused me to start trying to find healing. And that was not an easy process. It was not a linear process. But it was something that started to take place over the course of many years. And there were so many different things that went into that kind of journey of healing. But a huge part, and really what started a lot of it for me, was yoga and this practice of Christian yoga that I love so much and that I love getting to share with you guys. Because what that really brought me was a new way to approach exercise and a new way to approach myself, a new way to approach the Lord. It just really changed things for me. And I have a background as a professional dancer, and so it makes sense why I love yoga so much when you carry over from the dance world into a yoga practice. There's this element of creativity and artistry that I just really loved. But more than that, what I started to find when I would practice yoga was this ability to slow down and quiet my mind and to connect with the Lord and to really just start asking myself questions that I hadn't asked myself for years, like, how's my body actually feeling today? What kind of exercise will best serve me, whether I need energy or I need to stretch or I'm ready for like a high intensity workout? It just really helped me start rebuilding that connection between my mind and my body that so easily gets lost when we deal with, eating disorders or insecurity or just unhealthy relationships with our body in any capacity. That mind-body communication and connection really starts to break down. And through yoga, I was starting to find that again. And like I said, it was also a space where I was connecting with the Lord. So yoga allowed my mind to just kind of quiet down and release distractions in a way that I had struggled to do in other capacities. And so what I started to find was this ability to communicate with God, to pray more openly and for longer amounts of time, and to also really hear his voice. And what started happening in that time was God just really started to rebuild my identity in such a subtle but really, really powerful way. And again, it happened really kind of quietly. I didn't even realize it was happening, but now being able to look back after practicing for almost 4 years, I don't even recognize the person that I was when I started. And I know that that sounds like a silly cliche thing, but the truth is that that person was someone who was so overwhelmed with insecurity and fear of what people would think of her. What was this decision? How is this going to affect my weight? How is this going to affect my body? Is this going to be something that allows me to feel my best or to look my best? All of these really self-centered, but really sad, insecure thoughts. And now when I wake up in the day, I don't have thoughts about how I look. I mean, of course sometimes, but it's not this overwhelming, like, it's not the central plot line of my life is no longer this fear and this insecurity around how I look. When I wake up each day, I have so much energy and clarity around the fact that I know God has called me to use the things that he's given me, the experiences that I've walked through, and to use those to serve other people. And of course, there's still a lot of insecurity and uncertainty that comes with that, but having that really foundational and rooting purpose is something that keeps me going and something that just has made life so much more enjoyable and so much more meaningful. And so if you are watching this, you are part of that purpose. And whether you've been doing my yoga videos for a while, whether you're part of the membership, maybe we've done coaching one-on-one, or maybe you're brand new here, I hope that you can hear in my story the fact that God has a story that he is writing in your life as well. And that if you feel like you are trapped in insecurity or uncertainty or fear, that there is freedom from that. And it might come about in a way that you would never expect. Like for me, it was yoga. That wasn't something I'd ever done before, but it absolutely changed my life. And so I just want you to hear the encouragement that there is freedom and joy and peace beyond your wildest dreams that you will have access to. God is leading you there, and it's just so important. If I could encourage you to do one thing, it would be to create space in your life, to quiet your mind, and to prioritize spending time with the Lord so that you can follow where he is trying to lead you. Because I think a lot of us just are missing the opportunity to connect with God. We're missing the opportunity to connect with others because we're focused on ourselves, or we're just going through life distracted. Maybe it's just distracted by work or technology, by shopping, by unhealthy relationships, whatever it might be. So many of us live distracted. And that's something that I have also been really working on in my life over the past year or so, is just starting to eliminate some of those distractions so that I can really pay attention to what matters most, and so that I can show up with energy in spaces where it matters most. And so through that process of, okay, I'm starting to feel this call to something bigger. I know that God is really starting to pave the way to something larger. Unshaken Yoga was created through that process. And then once I really started trying to just understand, okay, what does this look like long-term and big picture? That's when God started to reveal to me the ministry of Stand Unshaken. And so Unshaken Yoga has been absorbed into this greater picture of Stand Unshaken, which at its core is a ministry that just seeks to empower and inspire others with the resources and the information that is needed so that you can live the life that you were created for, and that you can do that with joy and with energy and with confidence every single day. And so the reason that I'm sharing this video is because I want you to know that I'm going to be sharing some different content on here. There will still be yoga videos. In fact, I'm going to be sharing more and more yoga videos more consistently than I ever have before, which I'm really looking forward to. But I know that the story that God has written in my life and what I believe is so important for your story is bigger than just yoga. I think that that can be a really important piece of it, but I know that there is more. And so really what we've created at Stand Unshaken is this idea of the 5 pillars of holistic health, which covers movement, primarily yoga, but also other forms of movement such as Pilates and bar, strength training workouts, but all of that is approached from the perspective of learning to care for your body and to do that in a way that feels sustainable and that feels like you're serving your body rather than just trying to force it to do something. So again, we have movement, nutrition, faith, relationships, and identity. So those are the 5 pillars of holistic health. And that's what we're going to start bringing you more of on this channel. It will be me, and then you will also have the opportunity to hear from some other incredible women that have just inspired my story, that I admire so much, and that I'm really looking forward to introducing you to. But yeah, I just want this space to be still about yoga. Please hear me when I say that. The yoga videos are never going away. But I want it to be about more because I really know that there is so much that God can do in your life when we focus on creating healthy habits, eliminating distractions, learning to rebuild our identity in who He says that we are. And when we're doing all of those different things and when we're doing them within a community of love and support, I just believe that it's so powerful. And so that's something that I really want to invite you into. The best way that you can jump in and do that is just to follow along. So you can follow us here on YouTube, on Instagram, you can join our email list. I'll put links for all of that in the description. But we also have a membership that has just been absolutely incredible where you can get access to over 100 yoga videos. We have all of our programs in there, as well as courses that cover other areas of holistic health. So these are self-paced courses that you can sit down and you can go through, and you can just really, it's just an amazing place to learn and to connect with others. I do live coaching sessions. We do live yoga classes together. It's such an incredible space, and it's really just been a beautiful way for people to share their story with people who are going through similar things and really find that connection that, again, I think is so important for each of us. So that's a little bit about me. That's a little bit about where this channel is headed, where our whole ministry is headed, and what is to come. But on that note, I would love if you wouldn't mind just sharing 2 things with me. One, is there anything in particular that you would like to see more of, whether that's yoga videos or now that you know about the new types of content that we're going to be introducing, what would you want to see in that capacity? And the second thing that I would absolutely love is if you would be willing to share just a little bit of your story with me. I would love to hear about where you're at now, where you feel God is leading you, and just what has been happening and taking place in your life. Social media is kind of an imitation or a replacement for a way to truly know someone in person, but I believe that if we're intentional with the opportunity, we can develop real, true connection through the internet. And so, I would just love to hear part of your story, whether you want to share that in the comments below, or you can even send me an email. I would just love to connect with you. But thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Thank you for being here. Again, whether you've been here for years or you're brand new, I'm really glad that God has brought you to this space. And I hope that you just find so much value out of what we're going to be bringing you into the future. And I'm so grateful.